Alright, gamers. I've decided to do another update video on this project I've been doing in Minecraft. I was thinking to myself earlier, about this project I've been doing, and I was thinking it could be something so much bigger than it currently is. Because right now it's just this little thing I was doing where I'm making a city. I was thinking of making a whole series out of this. I'm gonna start out with a tour, and then I'm gonna maybe build something. So first off, we got on the edge of town here. I've got this wooden, no, not wooden. I got this mansion here, and I like the idea of making a house, like a mansion, like a reimagined woodland mansion because the normal woodland mansions aren't that great in the game. I was thinking of making it better, and I have made other uh I have made another wooden mansion. Put a picture of it on screen, but that one was just it was just a wooden box. It wasn't a very interesting looking design. It was it was all right, but I wanted to do it better. So this was kind of me branching out and making a more interesting looking mansion. And it doesn't have an interior. I'm not doing interiors for my builds because that would just take too long. And I was making its own little mountain for it, and I was gonna make a driveway that went up it. It's gonna look really cool someday. So next off we have this building. I need to increase my render distance. It's that big. It's very tall. So this building is actually based off of 432, whatever that building was called. All I know is it's one of the buildings in New York City on Billionaires Row, and 432 is the address on the road. And I just thought it was a really interesting, boring looking building, and I just kind of was just kind of doing an exaggerated version of it by how tall and thin. It's just like a white shaft piercing the air. The next one here, I have a bridge. So here I have a nice little bridge, and I know it's not very realistic, right? So when you have a bridge that's only, how long is this? It's not that long. You don't need support structures like this for a bridge that's this short. But I wanted to make something really cool and exaggerated looking, and it's my world. I can do what I want, you know? So next off we have a nice little park. Notice how even at nighttime this park is very well illuminated. And it is because a special lighting technique that I definitely came up with myself, where you put glowstone blocks down and you cover them up with moss. This provides very nice lighting to an area without having to disrupt it with a bunch of torches. I got a bunch of custom trees, benches, fucking creeper. So next off I have this structure, this black one here. And then this one, I really like going on Google Earth and just exploring around a lot. And every time I go into Paris, France, I just really like the architecture style, and so this building is kind of based off of it. Sort of the color of it, the very nuanced, detailed look of it. the very steep but then flat roofs. It's inspired. So next off I have the church. This church is also inspired by European architecture. Before I went to make this church, I was doing a lot of research on like European churches, and so and I was like kind of looking at a bunch of different pictures of them. And this is the only building I have an interior for. Yeah, completed, nice interior for. Very nice. Look at all the little details here I've got on it. I've got the stained glass. That's a nice touch. And then it's also sort of like a public area where like people can just come to like stand and like look out over the river. This structure is actually based off of. I'm currently doing a playthrough of Calamity mod in Terraria, and this is like what one of the structures in my base sort of looks like. And I thought that'd be kind of interesting if I showed that, if I like made it in Minecraft. So over here I've got like it's sort of like a lighthouse ice tower thing. Not sure. It's really interesting structure because it actually has two types of gradients going on it. So first of all, it's got like the blue spiral going around it. So notice how the blue spiral starts dark and then gets lighter each layer down. And then also the whole structure starts off with snow blocks and then slowly trickles down into white concrete, providing a light to dark. And in contrast to the dark to light of a spiral, across the street from the park, we've got a massive tree that I was making. And a lot of these builds are not finished. So that's just how I do things. Like I'll be interested in making a build and then I won't work on it for a while and then I'll like come back to it maybe. So I've got a nice big tree here, not much else to say about it. I've got a parking garage. As you can see, you can like park your car. Don't know if you'd actually want to be driving your car up this, but this is the little spiral ramp up to the. Okay, anyways, on to the next build. It's a parking garage. What do you want from me? So here I was making apartments, like townhouses. So there's these nice little houses I was making, and there's like a lower floor houses down here. There's going to be the same thing over here as well. Can't really tell you what exactly what this is, but I made it. My Warframe memorial, I kind of went into it in the other video I made. Yeah, my Warframe account, my beloved Warframe account, expand. I put so many hours into this one. I really like this tower because I used an unconventional building material. This gravel. I used gravel. I could have just used andesite, but it doesn't really matter. They look similar. So this is one of the first towers that I made. I just think it's like really cool looking. It's kind of inspired by the Empire State Building. It looks a little bit like it. So this building over here, this is actually the origin. This is the root of the entire city. So when I started making this city, I wasn't even planning on making a whole city. I was just planning on making a tower. Like, oh, I'm gonna make a tower. I wasn't planning on making a whole city. So I made the first 3 levels of this tower. I made like interior. Look at this. There's a lobby, a receptionist desk, spiral staircase because I couldn't be bothered to make like a redstone elevator or something. And it's just cubicles. And after this floor, I was like, hell no, I ain't making interiors up to build height. So yeah, there's a clock here too. But after I like did that, I like branched out and made this building. And then I came up with the idea. I was like, what if I just make a whole city? And so that's what I've been doing. Yeah, this is going to be a lot of work to finish this structure. Let me get to the top here to show you guys the top of it. Now, I can't even explain this. This is just some random thing that I came up with when I was uh, building it. It looks kind of cool, I guess. This blue one here. I was kind of planning making this a much more modernized office building in contrast to this one, which is like very 1960s. This one is much more modern with like a bazillion windows. And I haven't worked on this one in a while. Over here I've got a Capitol building. And I've got pixel art eyes. Yeah, sometimes I just build random things. But over here, actually, I want to talk about this. I think I kind of skipped over this. I'm sorry, what? So this is another structure that was inspired by a billionaire's row in New York City. And so, yeah, this one goes up to build height, and so does that one over there. So if you've noticed up until now, a lot of the builds I've done have been very boxy and geometric shapes, and that's kind of my strength when I build things in Minecraft. Uh, it's just that. So building organic things is very difficult for me. So this build was, it took every single one of my brain cells to make. It's like, how do I explain this build? It's like, it's got an ocean vibe to it. This build is the largest build I have attempted started to make. Like when I finish this build, it will be the largest build, like largest singular structure. This thing is massive. It's hard to like get into like scope how big this thing is. Yeah, it goes up to build height. The new one, which is 319, starts at 66 and goes to 319, so it's very tall. Here I had like this little corner, and I wanted to make like a cool statue. So I made sort of like this warrior statue, sort of. I spent a lot of time on it. It was very difficult to make. I think it turned out okay. This is sort of like a wooden tower that I never really got that far into. Parking lot. This building is inspired from the Flatiron Building, being like this tall building that's like on an angle, like a pie slice sort of. And it's also like inspired by Gringotts Bank from Harry Potter, sort of. I just thought it would be a cool vista from this community area here. It's like, I don't even know what to call this area here. It would be a cool vista to have like the road split here and just you look straight up at it. Same thing with the church. I planned out a lot of the vistas in the city. I'm not just building like random buildings in random places. Like, look at how the Capitol building is like perfectly visible from like this road here. I planned that out. So over here, I made sort of like a modernized restaurant. So you have tables and chairs, high tables, high chairs. And then I decided to be a little bit ghetto and stack another building on top of it, being in a city. So the inspiration for this building was when I went to Chicago a few years ago. I saw like buildings that were just kind of like benched together like this, sort of, and like on top of each other. And so that's where the inspiration came from. It just kind of reminded me of a building in Chicago that I saw. This building, and so instead of just making another box, I decided to make sort of like a pyramid looking thing. Because normally, like buildings, the base is wide and then the top is small. So I was thinking, like, what if the base is small and then the top is like bigger, or the middle section is bigger? And I put like a pyramid on top of it. I think it turned out all right. This structure, a very characteristic structure, sort of like a marketplace area where a person can just come and buy something right from here. And of course, in a public area, I put a little park. It's got intimate little areas where people can like uh, do stuff. I've got a fountain at the center of this public square, the end crystal. Don't ask me why. Here, I was working on my own set of twin towers. And attached to my Flatiron Bank, I was just kind of making an office building with a glass dome on the roof. Nothing really that special, I guess. The gas station. The gas station. I thought this was a pretty good gas station. Oh, it looks like a gas station. The pay meters. Look at this. I got a wall, a block, and a sharpening stone. And that makes a good pay meter. We've gotten to the point in the video where I'm going to start a build. Right here, across from my epic lava castle. So not every structure in the city has to be like unique or intricate or mind-blowing. So I think it would be funny to put across the street from this epic Bowser castle to be just like a normal contemporary like retail center.
It's sort of like how in a comedy you have not all the actors are comedians. You need to have that contrast between the comedians and the normal people. Sort of like in like The Office, you have people like Steve Carell who are like complete idiots all the time. They're like the comedians, and then you need sort of like a baseline to like around the comedy, like Jim Halpert and Pam. Just like the normal people who are like, yeah, this guy's fucking crazy. This guy's crazy. So the contrast between the things is sort of like what makes the certain elements stand out.
Okay, so the first thing I do when I start making a structure is I get a color palette going. So a retail center, so what I think I want to do is I want to make, in this area, I want it to be sort of like a public space food court. And then this can be like sort of like a restaurant retail building. So I'm thinking like, ooh, I could use the new mud bricks. And I think I want like a white. I think a white would look nice to give it sort of a modern look. So a quartz slab roof. I think like a nice thin square rectangle roof going over top of the structure. And then I'm thinking maybe something a bit darker. So I have like mid-tone colors and white. I'm thinking I have blocks that have a lot of texture already, so I think I want something with minimal texture. So mud might actually just work perfectly. So I think this is a good starter, sort of. Um, okay. Look at this. I finished the exterior. I really like that, you know? So maybe I'll do an interior to the structure in the next video. The structure isn't too big and daunting. I think I could actually, it's like doable to do an interior for this one. Well, that's about it. So yeah.